The Limerick Leader website, it's gone live there in the last few minutes. Minister Willie O'Dea, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Sean.
You really are one hell of a dirty fighter, aren't you?
Well, look, you know, I say things that I don't really mean sometimes in the heat of battle. And I said something wrong on this occasion. It wasn't something I concocted. It was something that was passed on to me casually and informally. An informal conversation with a member of the Garda Síochána, and he told me the charges were being preferred, etc. I passed that on. It wasn't true. I assumed the journalist would have heard it. He hadn't heard it, so when he hadn't heard it, I told him to check his sources. Insofar as Mr. Morris Quinlivan is concerned, it turned out to be incorrect. I apologise for that. The moment I discovered it was incorrect, I apologise, and that I said it. I apologise for it. I paid a substantial sum of money by way of damages, and I reiterate my apology today. I mean, if I could take it back now, I would take it back. I mean, it was a stupid, silly mistake to pass on untested information like that, and I fully acknowledge my culpability in that regard.
How big was the settlement? How much was that substantial payment?
That's confidential, as I understand it, Sean. I mean, I've committed myself through my lawyers not to reveal details of that, so I can't do that.
But you know,
it was substantial.
You got 19,082 votes at the last general election, number ones, a multiple of the quota. Now, are you really so insecure that when somebody criticises the way you carry out your duties and the way you run your constituency office using 6 civil servants and using departmental headed paper, are you really so insecure that you have to respond in this way?
Well, look, you know, the criticism was fairly harsh, Sean. You know, if you look back at the criticism, it was a series of criticisms that suggested almost that I was defrauding the Exchequer. I mean, every minister, every senior cabinet minister anyway, has that many civil servants attending to general business in his office. And there was also suggestions made that I was misusing money, etc. I don't misuse money, Sean. I'm one of the lowest levels of expenses in Leinster House, if you look at the record.
That's accepted, but again, your use of Department of Defence headed notepaper to send out run-of-the-mill constituency letters...
Well, that was a mistake. That was a mistake on the part of
And that's what they were criticising you for.
I specifically instructed that all those sorts of letters should be sent out on Dáil-headed paper, and they were before, and they have since. But look, you know, I freely admit I'm not trying to take from the mistake I made. I made a bad mistake. I've paid heavily for it. I'm sorry. I'm contrite. I've apologised. I apologise again. I don't know what else I can do.
Well, actually, what you could do is offer your resignation to the Taoiseach.
Well, the grounds on which I've been asked to resign is that I committed perjury. Well, and I saw Mr. Kenny repeating that again this morning. I had it there on your programme. I didn't commit perjury. I mean, this has been very difficult. This has been very difficult for me, Sean. It's been very, very difficult for my family.
And so it should be. I mean, given what you did.
Well, I didn't commit perjury. I did not commit perjury.
I
didn't commit perjury, and that's the main charge.
Yeah, but citing your status as an elected public representative, you categorically and emphatically denied using the words that in fact you had used. You swore those words into an affidavit, on the basis of which affidavit a High Court judge refused an application to injunct you from telling untruths against this candidate in a local election. I mean, could anything be more serious in terms of potential abuse of the democratic system?
Well, other people have done affidavits and they've had to correct them, Sean. I corrected I mean, the fact of the matter is that I swore an affidavit to the best of my recollection of what I said. Now, that was, the newspaper ran the story subsequently, and the newspaper's account of the story was that I referred to Mr. Quinlivan, which was my recollection. I hadn't recollected referring it on to Mr. Morris Quinlivan as well. I swore that to the best of my knowledge, information and belief, which is how you swear an affidavit. When the moment I discovered, on the 24th of July, Alan English, the editor of the Limerick Leader, told me he wanted to see me. I met him. He showed me the transcript. I went from my meeting with Mr. English, I went to my solicitor's office and told him to immediately correct the record and begin negotiations for damages.
At that stage, you were being sued. The initial proceedings were about an injunction under the Electoral Act. Then that moved on when that failed to a defamation action. And it was in the course of that that Mr. English came to you, I think perhaps because the newspaper was being sued as well.
I don't know. I don't know if the newspaper was being sued as well. I think I have some story to the effect that there was a threat to sue the newspaper. But Mr. English made contact with me. And he showed me the transcript. But as soon as he showed me the transcript, I corrected it.
Yeah, but what people will be at a loss to understand, Minister, is how you could possibly not have recollected saying what you said.
Well, Sean, look, I was being one of the allegations made against me was that I only said this when a tape was suddenly produced that I didn't know existed. Now, everybody has now confirmed, including the journalist in question, that I knew I was being taped. So, therefore, I knew that what I'd said was on tape. I knew it was in the possession of a journalist and in the possession of a newspaper. If I had recollected properly what I said, I wouldn't have sworn an affidavit to the contrary, knowing the whole thing was on tape with a journalist. That simply wouldn't have been a rational thing to do, and I wouldn't do it.
You see, when you say you corrected the affidavit, did you correct it? And in what context and where was it corrected?
Well, technically, maybe the affidavit wasn't corrected in the original court, but it was corrected by reference to the fact that we told, unequivocally stated to the solicitors for the other side that the affidavit was incorrect, pointed out what was incorrect, sent a transcript to the other side, and fulsomely apologised.
Was it not incumbent on you at that stage to apologise to the original court where you had supplied this false affidavit?
Well, I discussed that with my legal people, and they said no, that if we could settle the case, that would more or less dispose of things. But I mean,
but wasn't it a vast insult to the court?
If it's necessary to go back and correct in the court, I have no difficulty in doing so.
The other thing which is of some concern, Minister, is the role of the Gardaí in this matter. And let's just go back and hear again what was said in some exchanges in the Dáil yesterday. This is where Brian Hayes took up a point you made, the Fine Gael TD.
And the question will inevitably follow if you obtain this information from the Gardaí. Why exactly did you settle? Why exactly did you not put that in your statement? Why exactly did you not put that in your affidavit? Why exactly did you not inform this House yesterday of the fact? Did you forget that as well, Minister?
Because the information was
Are
wrong.
you denying the fact now that in intervention to the leader of my party, Deputy Kenny, you suggested that the information came from Garda Síochána? Is that a fact?
Indeed, exactly it is.
Well, why exactly did you not put that in your affidavit, sir?
Because it turned out to be wrong.
So that's a brief extract. Now, Minister, what exactly, what was the basis of you getting this information from the Gardaí?
It wasn't given to me in an official capacity at all. It was just a general chit-chat and casual, informal, off-the-record conversation. I assumed the information was correct. Part of it was correct, part of it was incorrect. And unfortunately, I passed it all on without verifying it. And that was a mistake. But I did tell the journalist to check his sources, and he did check his sources, and the only part he published was the part that was correct.
Yeah, because, I mean, what you call chit-chat and casual off-the-record conversation potentially is a breach of the Official Secrets Act by a Garda.
Well, I don't know, Sean. I haven't looked up all those aspects of it. I mean, in general,
but you'd have reason to be suspicious along those lines. I mean, this is clearly what the Gardaí themselves might describe or categorise as a suspicious circumstances.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that at that stage, certainly some of the media would have known about it. Obviously, Michael Dewan didn't know about it, and I accept that. But some of the media, the information I was given was to some of the media, and I think they must have known about it because it was published pretty shortly afterwards.
Yes, but the discovery of this brothel, about which the Quinlevins knew absolutely nothing, including Nessun Quinlivan, the actual owner of the premises, they knew nothing about this, clearly was the matter or the subject of a criminal investigation, and information was leaked to you about that criminal investigation.
As I say, it came up in general chat, I mean, informally.
As leaks often do.
As leaks often do, as you know yourself as a journalist. And
deliberate or otherwise.
Look, I passed it on. I shouldn't have passed it on. I did tell the journalist to check his sources. Thankfully, when he checked his sources, he found the correct situation.
Do you accept that
correct situation, and he didn't publish the libel?
Do you accept that your passing on of this information could actually have jeopardised that criminal investigation?
No, because I mean I know that Michael Dewan is a very responsible journalist, and I know that he would have checked it out himself before he published it.
But again, I mean, in the event that the Garda Commission was to order an inquiry into the circumstances of this conversation, would you cooperate fully and name the Garda concerned?
Well, I was told to thing off the record now, and I was told it in casual conversation. I mean, it crossed that bridge obviously when I came to it, but that's how I found out.
So as of now, you're refusing to say.
I didn't dream it up.
As of now, you're refusing to say you will cooperate fully with regard to the investigation.
Of course, I'll cooperate now. How far I can cooperate, I don't know, but I certainly will cooperate to the very best of my ability.
Would that include naming the Garda?
Well, look, let's cross that bridge if we come to it. But
that sounds like a no.
Well, no, I'm not saying no, Sean. I'm not saying no.
All in all, I mean, see, the one thing that was published and that was never disputed was what you said initially, is the brothel still closed? Mm-hmm. That in itself, I mean, prima facie, was libelous.
Well, that's debatable, of course.
And that's what led to the injunction proceedings in the first place. That you wouldn't repeat that.
Yes, well, I had no intention of repeating it anyway, as it turns out. I mean, somebody suggested that I told my canvassers to spread this from door to door, etc. Nothing could be further from the truth. I didn't tell my canvassers.
But the whole thing, I mean, 19,082 votes or not, Minister, it's all very, very sleazy, and it casts Irish politics at the highest level in a very bad light.
Well, look, there's a lot of things that cast Irish politics in a bad light. All I can say is that I've been accused in the public domain, I've been accused in the media, the print media, the electronic media, etc., of being a perjurer. I am not a perjurer. Neither I or any of my members of my family ever committed perjury. Committing perjury means knowingly swearing.
Yes, and there has to be a mens rea, as the lawyers would say.
I never did that, Sean.
And it's a very difficult charge to prove.
So I'm a victim. I'm a victim here as well.
You're a victim.
Everybody is a victim. Well, I mean, I'm being accused of something I didn't do, which is perjury. So therefore, from that point of view, I'm a victim. But the fact of the matter is, look, I made a gross mistake. It was a wrong thing to do. I apologise. I paid a heavy price for it, and I'm sorry. That's all I can say. I don't know what else I can say.
Well,
I'm sorry.
A gross mistake. If a minister of the government in an important position such as the one you hold makes a gross mistake, surely the proof of the pudding in terms of his own belief that it's a gross mistake is an offer to resign.
Look, it was late at night. I was tired. I'd done a lot of interviews. I genuinely didn't recall saying what I said. And, I suppose my political style couldn't be described as gentle by the further stretch of the imagination. And sometimes I say things, and when people, on occasions I've said things, and when people say to me, "You said such a thing," I couldn't believe I said it. But it was in the heat of the moment. It wasn't the heat. It was bad judgment in the heat of the moment.
Do you accept that what you did has damaged the government?
Well, if it has, I'm terribly sorry.
And arguably has destabilised it as well, Minister. And for that alone, maybe your resignation is warranted.
There's certainly no intention on my part to damage or destabilise the government. I mean,
but clearly it has.
My job is Minister for Defence, and there's a lot of work I'd still like to do in defence. But that's for the Taoiseach and the government.
Would you be prepared to resign voluntarily if it meant that it would help to stabilise the government?
Look, basically, I don't believe the main charge against me is that I've committed perjury. I have not committed perjury. I repeat that, and I'm keeping repeating it ad nauseum. I did not commit perjury. It wouldn't have been.
You didn't commit perjury, and the other thing you're repeating is you're the victim now.
It wouldn't have been. No, it wouldn't have been logical for me to commit perjury because I knew there was a tape in existence of what I said.
Right, but I mean, do you not think you should place your position in the hands of the Taoiseach?
My position, Sean, is always in the hands of the Taoiseach to do with it what he will.
Are you at this point contemplating resigning?
No, I didn't contemplate resigning, but I mean, the fact of the matter is, as you say, my position is always in the hands of the Taoiseach, in the hands of the government. I'll do whatever, obviously, I'll do whatever I'm asked to do. I didn't contemplate resigning because the suggestion was that I was cut out by a secret tape that was produced at anyone.
That wasn't anybody's suggestion at all.
But that was the initial suggestion.
Well, that was a stupid suggestion.
That was the initial suggestion, and that I committed perjury and that I knowingly swore a false oath, which I didn't. I didn't do any of those.
No, but what you did do was you cast an appalling slur on a candidate who was contesting an election legitimately. You made an appalling error, to put it at its mildest, in swearing that affidavit that got you off the hook in the injunction proceedings. And those matters of themselves, which are undisputed, they are facts. They are sufficient in themselves to warrant your walking.
Well, look, that's your opinion. I mean,
that's my question. It's not my opinion.
I'm not nemo iudex and so cause. I'm not going to be a judge in my own cause. I've told you the situation as it happened. I was responding in the heat of the moment, during the heat of political exchanges. I was responding to terrible slurs against me. I shouldn't have responded in kind.
Yeah, but you see, again,
I shouldn't have responded in kind.
Again, you see, you were responding in kind as recently as yesterday. I mean, your response, the best form of defence is attack. You attacked Fine Gael, arguably for justifiable political reasons. But the point is, I mean, did you apologise in the Dáil yesterday for what you did?
Well, I can't recall whether I apologised in the Dáil yesterday, but no need.
I'm having a quick scan of your speech, Minister, and I don't see any apology.
Well, if there wasn't, that was an oversight. Look, on the 11th of August, when my solicitor wrote on my instructions, which were given to him on the 24th of July, when he wrote to Mr. Quinlivan and his solicitors withdrawing the defamatory allegations. He apologised profusely, and he did that on my instructions.
OK, Minister, look, we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. That's the Minister for Defence there, Willie O'Dea, to David Davenport now, our political correspondent. David, questions being asked about the Greens as well, and the question of their being bounced into the vote. What's the latest?
Well, during the exchanges in the Dáil this morning, Eamon Gilmore put Mary Coughlin under pressure on this point because, as you will recall, Dan Boyle complained in his Twitter page that the Greens had been bounced into making a decision on a no-confidence vote and that next week would have been time enough.